Everybody, this is Wes from 180 here in the Jacksonville Baptist Association. Wanted to come back with the next tutorial here on how to use Zoom. If you have used it, you probably have you've either downloaded the app for your computer or your phone or tablet already. But just in case, to kind of get us started here, you would go to zoom.us after you've created that account /download, and you'll download the Zoom client for whichever platform that you're on, whether you're on a Mac or a PC, or if you're on an app store, whether Android or an iPhone, you can go to there and download the Zoom client. So once you download the Zoom client, you'll want to install that. After you install that and launch it, you'll be entered with this window right here. And so you can enter your email and password and sign in. I have used Google to create my account, so I'm going to go ahead and sign in with my Google account. After I've done that, I'm going to be taken to the screen right here, where now I have several different options about what I can do. If I wanted to real quickly, this is we talked just briefly about it, mentioned it in the previous video, is we can create an instant meeting. So this big orange button right here is, if I were to click that, I would automatically be taken into a meeting, and then I could share that meeting link with other people and get them to join my meeting. It's just a real quick, easy way to be able to create a meeting. If I hit this little drop down right here, it gives me the option to create it with my personal meeting ID and some things like that, but really easily just clicking that meeting to do that. Now I can go in here and hit join, and it'll give me the option to enter the meeting ID if someone else has shared that with me. I can click on here and add that in there. I also have the ability to be able to edit my name if I wanted to be, add something onto that, like Wesley Lewis, the Jacksonville Baptist Association, or 180 Digital, or something like that. I can add some things to my name so people can have some sort of reference to who I am. And that's if you're joining a meeting. But probably one of the things that I use most is right here is the scheduler. So if I click the scheduler, it'll bring up this where I can go in here and create a meeting, start time, duration, even though this is in no way a limitation to your meeting. It just is giving an idea for how long you expect the meeting to go. You can click right here and make it a reoccurring meeting and set all the different things that go along with that. This meeting ID, a lot of these are options that we went over in the previous video where we set some things as default. And so it's pulling a lot of those defaults into this meeting when I go to schedule it. That's why it's important to kind of go ahead and set up your account from the beginning so that you're not always having to change a lot of these things. So you can set the meeting ID to generate automatically, which is what I usually do. If you've selected it in your settings, it'll automatically pre-fill this meeting password. Again, kind of the video, when you start the meeting, as the host, do you want your video to be on or off? Participants, do you want their video to be on or off? What kind of audio do you want to allow in the meeting? And then finally, what kind of calendar do you have that you want to connect it to? You can also click this down here, and it'll give you some additional options right here where you can enable that waiting room if you didn't already enable that as default. Enable join before host, which I don't think is really a good idea, so I wouldn't enable that. Mute participants upon entry. Some of these things we covered already in the previous video. This one right here talks about authenticated users can join. So that's only people who have a Zoom account. They've created a free Zoom account can join your meeting. Just as a way of authenticating them. They have a real account with you email. They're not someone who's just trying to jump onto a Zoom meeting. That is something if you're really concerned about, if you're really advertising your meeting publicly, that may be something you want to do. And then finally, automatically record meeting, which I don't ever do unless it's something that I know that I might forget to record. So anyways, after I click all these things, I can click schedule, and it will schedule my meeting. I'm going to go ahead and just click schedule, and now it will show my meeting. If I were to go to my Google Calendar, it would show that meeting in my Google Calendar, but it also will show my upcoming meetings right up here. And I can also go down here to this bottom. It'll show my next upcoming meeting right here, but I can go to meetings, and here it's going to show the next meetings that I have coming up that I have something scheduled for. Now, you can even go into your calendars if they have a Zoom integration and create events from inside of your calendar and automatically add Zoom details to those. But right here, it'll show you this is the meeting that I just scheduled right here. And, as you go through these, you can go ahead and click start. You can go in and edit the meeting again. You can come here and copy the invitation. Maybe you want to go ahead and send that to someone. So you can copy that invitation and go ahead and send that out in a mail, in an email or a text message or something like that, or post it on social media or something like that if you're wanting to. And then finally, when you do that, you have the ability to be able to send that out to people and let them know about your meeting. So what I'm going to do just to kind of get us started here is I'm just going to click on new meeting, and that's going to go ahead and start a meeting. And I'm the host, and I'm really going to be the only person in this meeting. So it's really just going to be my picture kind of sitting here as we kind of talk through this. But just to kind of show you the general initial layout of a Zoom meeting, you have the ability right here to mute and unmute your microphone, start your video or stop your video. It's also important to know right here, there's these two little up arrows, and these are important, especially on this audio. If you may have someone who has some problems with joining and their microphone not working, sometimes depending on their setup, they may not have a microphone selected. So this is where they select the microphone that they want to use, as well as the speaker. So if they had some headphones plugged into their computer, they can choose between the headphones or the speakers, and as well as some additional audio kind of settings down here to kind of test those out. In the same way, if they were to have multiple cameras, they could choose which camera. You can also go here to choose your virtual background as well and do some additional video settings. But for the most part, you're really just going to be using these down here to kind of start and stop your audio, start and stop your video. Here, this security is a new option that they have enabled on Zoom meetings, which basically has enabled you to lock the meeting. So once everyone is in that you want to be in there, you can go here and lock this meeting and no one else can join. As well as you can enable or disable the waiting room so that people can join. And then maybe after you get the meeting started, you might want to go back and enable the waiting room so that not anyone can just kind of jump onto your meeting. So it's great that they added this because you can basically toggle these during the meeting. And here you can allow the participants, you can set some of these. So whether you want to even allow them to share their screen, you can toggle and untoggle that. Whether you want to allow them to chat, whether you want to allow them to rename themselves. So really, even as you have the meeting going, you have some quick access to some security settings here, which is really great that they added that option. So the next setting, the next button over here is the Manage Participants. If I click that, it's going to go over here and kind of pop this box over here on the side. That's going to basically show all the people that are in my meeting. Now, currently, I'm the only one, and as the host, I have all the power to do whatever needs to be done here in this meeting. But basically, it would show me a list of people right through here of all the people that are on there. Now, as the host, I have the ability to go in here and mute. I could even go in here and mute myself. So you can mute anyone in the meeting for any reason. You can start and, you can request that they start their video, but you can, and they have to approve that, which is a good thing. So a security issue that you can ask them, hey, start your video, and then they'll say, okay, they can click on that to start their video. But if maybe for some reason their video is going and they've walked away and it's not something that you really want to show anymore for whatever reason, you have the ability as the host to go in there and be able to stop their video. And then some more, you can go in here and rename people and have some other options as well right in there. So that's important. So this Manage Participants as well down here, you have the ability to go in here and take this invite, and you could kind of email people from right within the meeting, or send it to some contacts you already have set up within Zoom. Or what I use most of the time is right here, this copy invite link. It's really easy for me to just go ahead and copy this, and then I can go over to someplace, let's just say I'm going to kind of pop up another window right here, and I could just easily paste this in there, and I can paste that link, and then the password is there as well. So they know here's the link to the meeting, and then this is the password to get into the meeting. So that's usually how I use that. So I'll just usually use copy invite link and send that out and let people know about what's going on with that. And as well, you can do a copy the whole invitation. Now, this whole invitation would have all the phone numbers that if they wanted to call with a regular phone and that sort of thing, would have a more expanded options for how they could join the meeting. So with that, participants, now if I go ahead and I already have this window, this little extra area kind of popped out right there. If I hit chat, it opens the group chat down here at the bottom. And so with that, I can message, and currently it's set right here to everyone. Now, if there were other people in this meeting, I could go right here and I could select someone specific if I wanted to kind of share a private message with them, which we kind of talked about when we set up the meeting. So I could go here and click this down arrow and select someone specifically to message them directly, and that is not public in the chat. That's just between me and that other person. Which is sometimes handy if you need to make a comment about maybe something someone else has said, or just something that's kind of just between you and some other person. And finally, you can go over here and make some of those changes right here if you want your participant to not be able to chat with anyone, or just you as the host, everyone publicly, or everyone publicly and privately. You can make those options there as well. So this is a great window to have. Oftentimes I'll have this sitting here. If you do have a waiting room involved and set up, basically right up here above this, you'll see it'll show that waiting room, and it'll show their name, and you have to hit admit or decline to allow them to come into the meeting. So that is something that's good to have for the most part. If you're having just a quick meeting, I typically don't enable a waiting room. But if you are, having a scheduled meeting with people, that is maybe somewhat publicly advertised, and it is potentially that someone, you may just click the link that doesn't necessarily need to be in the meeting, then I would use that waiting room to be able to just kind of filter out who's allowed into the meeting itself. And then the next one over here is this screen share. Screen sharing is just a really cool feature that you can do with Zoom. And so if I click this, I can go here and enable any of these screens that I have open. I have tons of different things open here on my computer, and I can share and choose to share any of the screens or browser windows or anything like that. Some other things that you can do here is this little whiteboard. So I can check on this little whiteboard and click share, and it will pop this window right here, and I can draw things on here, and I can draw things on here and basically be able to draw a diagram or anything like that. Now, what's interesting about this is if you have this and you wanted to use something to diagram it, and then you needed to go back to your other screen or for some reason and share something different, you can go up here and hit stop share, and now it's going to take you back to the meeting. But if you go ahead and click back on that whiteboard again, everything that you drew is still on there. So you can reference it and go back and forth between the meeting and the whiteboard. So it's super easy to be able to kind of use that to just draw something out real quick if you wanted to explain something. As well, you can hit here, and one really neat thing is I do this occasionally, is you can set it up to share with your iPad. So maybe you're teaching a Bible study, and you can have the we do this at our church sometimes, where we'll have the Bible passage pulled up, and then maybe you want to kind of underline or circle or write things just to kind of help give some definition to what you're teaching. So what's cool, if you have an iPhone or iPad, you can share that screen. So what I'll do is I'll do that real quickly right now, and it tells me, I have to get some, oftentimes it probably will tell you need to install a plugin. So just go ahead and install that plugin. And then with your iPad, which I have one right here, you just quickly go swipe down and then go to get the basic options and go to screen mirroring. And then you'll click on where it says the meeting ID, or it has Zoom and it has your name usually. And then now my screen is shared. So this is my iPad screen right here. And I'm just showing my my Zoom app on my iPad right now, which looks very similar to the one I have on my computer. So that enables you to be able to use your iPad. Maybe you have a presentation and it's easier for you as the host to maybe have that presentation going on your iPad. This is a great way to be able to use this feature to be able to share some things independent of your main screen. So I'm going to go ahead and hit stop share there. It takes me again back to the main meeting screen. Some other options you have with the sharing is you can change these options, whether you want just one participant to share at a time, multiple participants can share simultaneously. If I go to sharing, I get some of those same options as I set the defaults for my account. Who can share? Do I want everyone or just the host? Who can start sharing when someone else is sharing? Everyone or just the host? And these are my typical settings that I leave as default there. Finally, the next thing over here, or actually moving on, the next thing is the record. I can click record. Most of the time, I'm going to record to my computer. If I'm at a decently powerful computer, I'm going to click record to my computer, and then I'll have that file to be able to upload to Vimeo or YouTube or any other share with any other thing that I have, any other platform that if I wanted to kind of create a video to share with, if I was doing a Bible study and I want to be able to put that out to everyone in my church, but maybe only, 5 or 10 people were there in the Bible study, I can record that to my computer and then upload that and then share that out, whether that's in an email or, any other sort of way on the website or something like that. So most of the time I'm recording on my computer. Next thing here is this Breakout Rooms. Now, this is a really interesting feature that you can use with your account. If you click this, you can take all of your participants and break them up into separate rooms. So you can set the number of rooms that you want. So if you had a whole lot of participants, but you wanted to equally spread them out into, let's just say 3 different rooms, and you wanted to do automatically, or you could set it to be manually, and you could determine who's in each room specifically, or you can kind of let it do that automatically. So if I were to do that, it'll show me the breakout rooms because I said 3. Now, there's no one else in the meeting with me right now, but I could go through here and assign people to the different rooms or exchange people for other people to be able to make sure that the right people that I want are in the right rooms. So if I had some people who maybe were designated to lead a discussion session in a breakout room, I could make sure that each one of my discussion leaders, was in one of those rooms and not all 3 of them or whatever were in one room together. And they were all, supposed to be kind of leading discussion. So it's a great tool to be able to use to kind of add breakout rooms. Now, as the host, you can actually go through and create and join these rooms. So if you needed to rename them, you can, but you can go through and join these rooms and then close them. So it's a really neat feature to be able to add if you need to expand. You want to take your group of people that are in Zoom and then break them out into smaller groups. And finally, there's some reactions here that people can give. This is something that your participants will be able to see. They can clap, give you some applause, give you a thumbs up for what's going on there. And that's kind of neat to do. So other than that, that's the basic tutorial on how to use Zoom. I hope that it was helpful. Again, this is number 2. If you didn't catch our first video, go back to Zoom tutorial number 1 and learn how to set up your account just kind of from the beginning to be able to make things a little bit easier on you in the future. And I'll be back with one more video kind of showing some more advanced features.